Welcome to Straight Talk and Retirement, your no-hype source for financial advice and making informed choices about your retirement planning. Get on the phone to talk today at 314-931-5877 or text your question to 84126.
The opinions voiced in this show are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which investments may be appropriate for you, consult with your attorney, accountant, and financial advisor or tax advisor prior to investing. Securities offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA SIPC. Investment advice offered through Private Advisor Group, a registered investment advisor. Private Advisor Group and JBL Financial Services, Inc. are separate entities from LPL Financial.
Now, here are your retirement coaches, Jeff and Erin Lapidus.
Well, hello, St. Louis, and welcome to Straight Talk on Retirement, your live and local St. Louis's favorite financial call-in show. I'm Erin Lapidus, president of JBL Financial Services, financial planner and wealth manager, and I'm joined this week and every single week by my dad, Jeff Lapidus, wealth manager, retirement coach, and 40-year veteran, 50-year veteran of the financial services area? 45-year veteran. Okay. We're going to have something special when we get to like half a century.
Okay.
And my husband, Robert Markham, our life insurance and fixed annuity sales specialist.
Good morning, babe.
We help our clients make smart choices about their money. The way we do that is by designing a game plan, a written step-by-step strategy, a real game plan with several goals in mind.
First is to preserve, protect, and prudently grow the assets our clients have taken their entire lifetimes to accumulate.
Second is to provide an income stream they can rely on so they can do all the things they want in retirement.
And third is cost-effectively addressing their health care needs, like helping individuals enroll in Medicare and choosing the right plan to couple with their Medicare coverage.
And then when they're done enjoying their assets during their lifetime, we show them how to pass them on to the people they love, whether it's their spouses or children, grandchildren, churches, or charities, whoever it might be, without Uncle Sam or the tax courts taking a big bite out of their money. And as their wealth managers, Rob, Erin, and I watch their money every single day to make sure they're staying on track. And that's why they call us the retirement coaches. Well, good morning, crew. Good morning, Radio Land. Thanks so much for taking your time and tuning in for our 2-hour extravaganza for today.
Good morning.
I don't know why it's extravagant, but whatever.
Because it's not 137,000 degrees outside.
Not yet.
Correct.
I think we've left the heat dome behind at least for a couple of days.
Right. There's still time.
The temperature in the city's been punishing. I just have to, it's punishing.
It's so bad that I have to tell myself to stop talking about stop talking about it already. It's
too hot to go in the pool.
Right, like bath water.
Yeah, the pool is. I mean, I have to backwash the pool. I don't even know what to do. I'm going to have to empty half of it to get some cool water.
Hopefully the rains will come.
You know, funny thing was last week they said prepare for like 10 days of rain. We got like a day and a half of rain. That was it.
Well, don't worry. They've renewed the forecast. Another 10 days of rain.
That means partly sunny every day.
Well, yesterday your mom and I were at Costco, which is just down the office from
down the street from the office,
as well as our home. And we're walking out, and in the moment we walked out, there was just this huge cloudburst, and it rained for 15 minutes. And it was. I mean, the wind's blowing; it's like crazy. The sky is just perfectly clear, and it's like, what's going on?
Isolated showers.
We're driving home. We're driving west on Olive. We're driving home. And we get to Dealman, and it's like the rain stopped. There was no rain west of Dealman. It was just seemed to be just like in this one very small, isolated area. Mm-hmm. And then we had a little rain last night.
I was asleep for that.
Localized event.
Right.
Absolutely it was. And we're live and local. We'd love to hear from you. And as a reminder, all of our clients are folks like you. They're our listeners. They're 55 and older. They would like to retire, or they're already retired. And as Erin mentioned, our goal is to create a game plan for them so they can have a fun, successful, financially successful retirement.
That's right, and there are many ways that you can keep in touch with us throughout the week, aside from tuning into our show every Saturday. Just log onto our website, jblfinancial.com. You can click on the sign up button that appears and request our Coach's Corner newsletter. We do keep that up to date every single month. Or you can click on the Contact Us button and request a coaching session, financial, Medicare, or both. Rob, we're in week 2 of July, so why don't you hit us with our July newsletter?
Got some great articles from the July 2025 newsletter you're certainly going to want to check out. The first one being Travel Spending Surpasses Pre-Pandemic Levels. We got a great infographic there just showing just how much travel has rebounded since the pandemic of, it's going on like 4 years now.
I think, isn't it, 5, right?
5.
Yeah,
we're
from
4
the
years
beginning.
removed. We're going
yeah.
on. Unbelievable how time
flies.
And our next article, have you set a retirement savings goal? We spent a lot of time with this last week. There is a great income and expense table in there that you can plug in your numbers just to get like a good round idea of what retirement could look like. I thought that was a great article. And our last article, tips on preserving your inheritance. More than 25% of households expect to receive an inheritance at one point or another. So this is a great article with some tips and tricks on how to preserve it. And the one article we're going to spend a little bit of time with this morning is buying a condo, focused on the financials. Condos appeal to home buyers of all ages and life stages, especially retirees. Prices vary depending on location, market, other factors, but generally condos are priced lower than single-family homes. In fact, in 2024, the average price of a condo was about 12 to 15% less.
Interesting.
Having said that, there are some special costs that come with condo ownership that are unique to condos, and in addition to mortgage, insurance, and taxes, condo owners typically pay ongoing mandatory fees to a condo association, a COA, or a homeowners association to cover running and maintaining the community. On occasion, condo owners may be required to make a one-time payment in addition to regularly monthly payments. And we got a great infographic here showing just how much some of those monthly fees can be. And almost 40% of them are between $100 and $500. 10% of them are more than $500. So it's not an insignificant amount that is ongoing and mandatory.
I think it's interesting, and we've had quite a few clients looking to, when I say downsize, literally just the space that they're living in, because sometimes it could be an upgrade for you if you're moving into a newer build condo. But when you think of the expenses that you have to maintain your home above and beyond your homeowner's insurance, if you have lawn maintenance, if you have people come in to do pest control, all these different pieces, maybe adding those up in consideration with putting it against your homeowners association fees. I do know that special assessments, like you mentioned, those one-time hits that may come around that are also mandatory but not monthly, those were happening quite a bit, especially if you happen to own a condo maybe in the south and you experience some of hurricane damage, things like that. There's some additional assessments that can come up.
Yeah, a large or unexpected event like weather-related certainly could add into those one-time mandatory fees that you'll be required to pay in addition to the monthly homeowners association. All this is to say that if you're thinking about buying a condo, you want to work with a real estate professional, one that is well-versed in the condo market. You want to review all the condominiums thoroughly so you have a firm understanding of what your responsibilities and obligations are. You don't want to be surprised by something later. And also, something that the article touches on, if you're planning on renting your condo at any point, you definitely want to dive into those condominium documents, because there are special rules that some communities have regarding rentals. Some of them put stipulations on the length of the lease, how many units can be rented as a percentage of the overall community. Some don't allow it at all. Especially
with the advent of Airbnb and things like that, I think that not only have condos become stricter, but we've even seen municipalities become more strict because they're trying to protect the hotels in the area. They're also trying to protect the residents in the area from seeing constant turnover from weekly rentals, which aren't necessary. Those people don't necessarily have the same respect as the people that live there long term.
Absolutely. And like I said, if you're in the market for a condo, there are some things to think about. And this article has a pretty well-rounded view of what some of those things are. So definitely something you want to check out in the 2025 July newsletter. And just for your reading and perusal convenience, we keep the last 6 months to a year on there. So if you want to go back and check out any other episodes, they are all, any other monthly newsletters, they are all there for you.
Awesome.
That makes it easy. And again, we're live and local. Our phone lines are open. We'd love to hear from you. 314-931-5877 or from the unusual.
Unusual.
Exactly, our unusual text line. I know the text line.
Usual text line?
Well, our text line is usually very busy, which is
That's
very
right.
cool at 84126. But I understand that Josh's show had some fun stuff going on in the text
People
line.
are excited.
People
this
are jumping
morning.
over the line, I heard.
That's right. Hey.
Well, look, our phone lines are open. We'd love to hear from you. 314-931-5877 or 84126 from the text line. And while we're waiting for your calls and your texts, we always have a lot of things on our mind. What's more important is what's on yours. But while you're thinking about some things, let's talk about what we're thinking about. And I'd like to get started with a coaching session that I know happened this week with a new prospective client. Her name is Joan.
And Joan is 52. She's a process engineer at a major manufacturing firm headquartered in St. Louis for her entire working lifetime. She is currently single and has no children. She'd like to retire before the end of 2027 and came in for some confirmation on her thoughts and some direction on when to turn on those faucets.
So she's 52 now, and she'd like to retire at about 54?
Yes, and it isn't unusual for folks to come in because, I would say that 90+% of the folks that come to visit with us, they can retire.
Yep.
But they really do want confirmation that their thinking is right. Everybody has holes in their thinking. They need those holes filled. At the same time, the process and the timing of as I like to call, as I've called it over the years, turning on and off the faucets of cash flow, have tax implications, and rules, and getting a second opinion, and maybe having a guide, a coach, to help you through that. Is why we get to visit with listeners every week.
It's funny that you said that, Dad, because one of the things that Joan mentioned to me when she sat down was she said, "Erin, you're going to be the tiebreaker." And I was like, "What are we talking about?" And she said, "Well, I've seen 2 other people so far, and one person told me that I could retire, and someone else told me that I couldn't." And I said, "Okay, well, why don't we take a look? I can't speak to their analysis, but I can speak to my own. And as I know you were an engineer, why don't we put it up on the board? Because the engineers, they like to be precise. And so we can very easily, and we do that with everyone.
And we test the algebra.
That's right. So why don't we talk a little bit about what Joan has accumulated over her working career?
She's got a 401k plan with $1.6 million. She has a Roth IRA with $160,000. She has a brokerage savings account with some company stock and some CDs. That has about $200,000 in it. So all told, she has $1.9 million, including her vault.
That's excellent.
Well, it sounds like she could be a rock star.
But we got to do the math first.
Absolutely. So let's talk about that. We know that in terms of her resources, she's eligible for a pension of $3,400 per month. We're not going to talk about what the lump sum of that is today.
Right, and that she won't be eligible for that until age 55.
Right, so she's 3 years out.
Mm-hmm.
Social Security eligibility, her earliest claiming is at 62, which is 10 years out. And at that point, she would be eligible for $2,400 per month if she decided to elect. So when those faucets, if they were both turned on, that would generate about $1,500 a month. And talking with her, and finding out what was her current spending,
Mm-hmm.
because that's what we gear our analysis to, is what you're spending.
Right.
Not what you're making, what are you actually consuming? How much cash do you need? And through her spreadsheets, she was a spreadsheeter, we love that, she came up with $6,000 per month. We naturally have to increase that by 20% for federal and state income taxes. She's a Missouri resident. And therefore, what happens is she needs $7,200 a month. We know that when the faucets are turned on,
So when she gets to fully 62.
exactly, she'll have $5,800 a month coming in, which means she's $1,400 per month short. If we annualize that, that's approximately $16,800. And so, using the 4% rule, as we like to do with our clients, she would need approximately $420,000 of capital, 4% withdrawal rate, getting her to 16.8. She's not a rock star. She is like the Beatles. You know, she is the Rolling Stones. She is like at the head of the rock star family, right? Because she's got a couple million of assets,
Mm-hmm.
and we only need $420,000 of milk money to fill that hole so that she can have the income that she needs. But
she's kind of like...
that's not her issue, is
She's
it?
kind of like a COVID rock star because she's locked out
Exactly.
or something. Like all the doors are shut.
Yeah, it's sort of like, you know, like it's like somebody like took the handle off the faucet, so we can't turn them on.
Right, because all her... Well, not all of it. But, and this is true, and we had this conversation, which is, Joan kind of mentioned that she had started saving later in life, and that, which isn't uncommon. Most people don't really ramp up their retirement savings until their late 40s, early 50s. And so she has amassed quite a bit inside of those retirement accounts at this point, inside of her 401k and her Roth. But she doesn't have access to those, not at least for another 3 years, until for the 401k, and another 7.5 years for the Roth, because she's got to be 59.5. So now we went from, you know,
She's a youngster.
we went from $1.7.5 million of assets to utilize, or down to $200,000.
Which again, certainly she doesn't want to consume all of her non-retirement assets and her vault to get there.
Right. So, and also why don't we just review the rules really quickly, because we jumped around a little bit. So to take money from traditional IRA or Roth accounts,
59.5.
or you incur a 10% penalty unless you fall under one of the exceptions to taking those distributions. We spent a lot of time on some of those: first-time home buyer, loss of wages from unemployment, medical expenses, college expenses. Unfortunately, none of those really meet Joan's requirement. So she would be subject to not only the 10% penalty for pulling money out of that Roth, or a traditional IRA, but you have to pay taxes if it's a taxable account.
10% haircut on the top, and then ordinary income taxes underneath.
Right, but why would Joan have access to her 401k at 55 as opposed to wait until 59.5?
Because until she rolls that money over to the IRA, she's still subject to the 401k rules, which are a little bit more liberal than the IRA rules. The 401k rules are, if you're 55 years old and separated from the employer that you have the 401k with, you can begin to access that money penalty-free.
Awesome. Still paying taxes.
Still paying taxes. You know, that doesn't change because you didn't pay on the way in. So you still have to satisfy that obligation, but you won't get hit with a 10% penalty.
Awesome. Exactly.
And again, what we're talking about is really the traditional IRA, not the Roth.
Right.
The Roth is still subject to the 59 rule. So it could be a situation where, you know, I know what we're getting to, which is building up other assets to consume until she hits 55. And then having access to her 401k, finally the valves available,
right,
to open up. Getting 62, the valves open for Social Security because she's not eligible for it before then, and then obviously all the rest of the money's available too, or whether it's Roth, etc. So it's a process.
Exactly. So really what our goal here is, how do we bridge Joan from the day she wants to retire, which is a couple of years from now, to 55, when she really has a greater level of access to her assets. She's going to have access to the $1.6 million that she's accumulated in that 401k.
And her pension, by the way, didn't start until 55.
Exactly. So we have, if Joan really wants to retire in 2027, making her 54, we will have 12 months of no income and no access to the IRA or the Roth. So how do we do it? Or, I'm sorry, no access to the 401k rather and the Roth. So how do we get there? And while we were chatting with Joan, she told us a little bit about what she's doing now.
And one of the things she's doing that's great is she's making the maximum pre-tax contributions to her 401k. But being that, we want to build up that after-tax money to bridge those gaps until those faucets come on, maybe we scale that back or even eliminate it.
Right. I would always suggest, never leave the money on the table that your employer is offering you, so scaling it back to the match.
Makes perfect sense.
Take some more of that money home. You will pay taxes on it. However, the goal here is now to start we know, because Dad, you did the math, that when all the faucets are on, Joan has saved more than enough to meet her retirement income needs. But we've got that gap to deal with. So now that becomes our first planning focus.
Funding the gap.
Exactly. So a way to start amassing more after-tax money is let's reduce your 401k contribution down to the match. What else was she doing?
She was making additional payments to get rid of her mortgage. So she was doubling up. Instead of paying $3,000, she was paying $6,000.
Oh, my gosh. So that's over even the course of the next 2 years. That's what? That's like what?
Another $12,000
in savings that she'll be able to put into her savings account. And I thought this was an easy one because Joan had mentioned that she's in St. Louis still because she's one of the primary caregivers for her mom, and she wants to be close by, but she doesn't see herself staying in the area forever. And she's got a really nice low mortgage rate, interest rate on the mortgage. So, and we've already done the math because that $6,000 a month number that she needs incorporates the $3,000 a month mortgage payment. So if she can already carry the mortgage balance comfortably, then in our minds, why don't we, instead of locking that money up again, because essentially that's what you're doing when you're making some overpayments to the mortgage, if you know it's not the forever house, let's create liquidity at least until we get to 55. And when we have more access to different buckets of cash, and then we can always talk about: do you want to go back to making extra payments? Have things changed? Maybe you are going to stick it out in St. Louis, or maybe this is the forever house. Whatever the case is, we can always adjust our plan, but we want to get through that first hump of creating some extra liquidity.
It's time for her to stack up the Benjamins, baby. Right? I mean, that's what we're talking about, which is she's been such a dynamic saver. Mm-hmm. And obviously she's worked for a major company that has also been making contributions. She's been letting that money grow. She's been unencumbered by children, so she doesn't have those expenses. So what's cool is that she has a manageable lifestyle. We don't have a big income gap to fill. We certainly have more than enough capital. It's just that it's locked away. We've got to wait until we can systematically open each one of these faucets so that we get there in time. So making sure she has the cash, the liquidity, will put her in a position where we can get her really through that first hump, which is the first 1 year, get into her pension, then eventually get into her Social Security, and then getting to her, getting really to her Roth, which is, frankly, even with the large Roth that she has, we know that our clients don't use Roth for income purposes. They use them for the big ticket items. And if she wants to, like you're saying, let's say she does decide to leave the area, maybe she's going to purchase another home. Maybe it's more expensive. Maybe she doesn't want a mortgage payment. Maybe we want to use not only the money from the sale of her current home, but also maybe this Roth to get rid of those payments.
Right.
Or to deal with a car, or the moving expenses, whatever it might be, or the new furniture, and et cetera. We see these Roths are really used for big ticket items, so it's nice to have them. But
just doing the math. Well, first of all, Rob, tell us how Joan got such a large Roth.
She's been doing backdoor Roth conversions. So she's been contributing to a traditional IRA and then immediately converting those funds over to Roth. So she's saving in three different places if you really want to look at it this way. She's making the pre-tax contributions, maximizing that to $24,000 a year. She's doubling up on her mortgage payments at $6,000, and she's doing the backdoor Roth. These are all places to build that war chest to bridge those interregnums between the point where those faucets come on.
That's right. So we also suggested no more backdoor Roths because even though you're taking advantage of the opportunity
you
here,
can't access the money.
You can't access the money anymore. And, Dad, to your point, I just did the math really quickly because even with a Roth that's, $160,000, if we were still using our same 4% rate of withdrawal, that's only going to provide us about $530 a month of income if someone was going to be taking from it, which is nobody's walking away from $500 a month. However, I think the idea is that the Roth funds can be much more effective, utilized to maintain a tax bracket when things come up, meaning we know where Joan's tax bracket is going to be because the legislation that was just passed last week made our tax brackets permanent as opposed to sunsetting. So we have visibility, at least until there's another change. But for the meantime, we have visibility on where the brackets are going to stay. How do we keep you in a consistent bracket over time? Because, of course, the goal is to limit your taxes, but does it really make sense to limit your taxes to zero at the expense of liquidity or at the expense of then not being able to control your tax bracket down the line because you've drained all the buckets of money that will give you that opportunity? So, you could live off of Roth and after-tax money for a certain amount of time, but once that's all gone and you are subject to only your traditional IRA distributions, you've limited your flexibility and you've created, now you're in whatever tax bracket you end up in because all of your money's in the same type of taxable account.
Oh, and we also know from our experience that stuff does happen.
Right.
It does. I mean, there are emergencies that happen. They can be expensive. There are certainly replacements that happen, whether it's an automobile, whether it's I have to replace the kitchen, whether I decide I want to do the basement, whatever it would be, wedding, etc. Large numbers are required, and invading your IRA, the pre-tax money to do that, it doesn't feel good because Uncle Sam has taken a nice slice of it every single time that happens, whether it's 15% or 20%. And in some cases, based on where your base income is, Joan doesn't have this issue, fortunately, at this point, but those large pullouts could have an effect on your Part B premiums, which is, even though it's a one-year deal,
still an additional tax.
Right. I mean, it's going to cost you. I mean, it would have cost her, in theory, it costs at least $200 plus a month.
Could be.
To go to the next level.
Oh, we've got a great text question about Joan.
And our texter writes, how will Joan cover her medical costs if retiring so early?
This is a great question. So this is something that we're going to have to factor into her cash flow for the years between 54 and 65 years old.
11 years.
That's right. It's going to be 11 years of coverage for her. Now, one thing we left out was that Joan had a pretty sizable HSA account, health savings account that had about $34,000 in it. So that's definitely a place that we would start. However, if Joan didn't have access to that, then part of what we would be trying to plan for is we need to amass enough after-tax dollars in order to cover those medical expenses, a healthcare premium, adding that on top of her current spending, so that way we know that we can bridge her from COBRA when she retires, which will give her 18 months, and then to most likely the Affordable Care Act. We should be able to, for at least a few years, structure her income to still take advantage of the subsidies. I know that there's a lot of speculation around what about the subsidies after the new legislation has been passed. Those are still going to stay in place for at least the next 10 years, and Congress does have the ability to pass separate legislation to make changes to that if they would like. So for the moment, we're still going to be able to take a look at subsidies and some cost savings for her. So you will have access to different options.
Yeah, I mean, there are some major companies that do offer retiree health coverage plan.
Yes.
Certainly, I know one of them is the telephone company that left the city. They did that. And,
yes.
Folks,
they did that well into retirement, too.
Yes, and we have some clients that are currently that are youngsters. They're getting ready to take advantage of that, which is smart. But not everybody has access to it. So, again, right. COBRA for 18 months, the Affordable Care Act, and then, obviously, the transitioning into Medicare 65. We do this every day for our
right.
for our investment advisory clients. That's one of the good things that we do, and that also was a piece. And certainly, it was a great text question because healthcare is usually concern number one.
Right.
Once, do I have enough money? And I have my faucet management strategy in place. That's number two, right? Dealing with healthcare and those issues, because it isn't a money issue anymore. When you really get down to it, we know that with most traditional Medicare plans, you may have a deductible with a Plan G, and you're paying a premium, but after that, the insurance company's on the hook.
Right.
We know that if you're using regular drugs, okay, that there's a $2,000 annual cap. So your Medicare Advantage, we know $3,000, $2,000, et cetera. So we're not talking about super extensive costs that are going to break you.
Once we get to Medicare.
Right, but it's really just having the confidence. And frankly, honey, as you know, when I left your mom's plan, because she was covering me for 20-plus years, and I'm transitioning back onto the health insurance plan that I've been paying for the company, our employees for years, I was nervous.
Yes.
And I sell the stuff.
Yes, that was a delightful moment. Erin, are you sure this is going to work? Are you kidding me? Right. Are you kidding me right now?
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the eye for people for 20 years saying, yeah, it does work. It's okay.
Not only does it work, we do this every day. I fill the paperwork out all the time.
Exactly. When it's but when it's you, it's just again, you can have those moments.
And luckily, I was there to say, we do this all the time. Not a problem.
Sometimes you just want another set of eyes on it. You want confirmation.
Right, but I mean, this health insurance transition it can be very unsettling.
And so that's part of so if we looked at Joan's needs right now, she has about $200,000 in liquid assets outside of retirement accounts. She needs $6,000 a month. So if we were only planning for 1 year, we said she needed about $72,000. But that does not incorporate the cost of COBRA or the cost of additional, if we needed to find individual coverage. So adding some additional expense to that will get, one, it's going to be why we want to amass some more cash. And two, it will create that additional buffer. If it's not just premium that we're looking at, we want to make sure if something does happen that there can be kind of hefty out-of-pocket expenses with pre-Medicare plans, even with COBRA policies, just depending upon what your employer has offered. We want to make sure that she's got enough buffer to be able to foot those expenses.
And that's the great part about her having that long runway of, hey, I don't want to do this till 2027, but what do I need to do now to make that a reality?
Yeah, it's curious because I was going to say that, it isn't unusual, and we have some clients that we're doing this for right now, where they have COBRA eligibility. They also have eligibility for the ACA plans, or I call them the Unaffordable Care Act plans. One of the key components in timing here also is deductibles.
Right.
Have you satisfied up all or a part of your deductible for the year? Those deductibles do come with you if you elect COBRA. But if you go to an ACA plan, they don't. So, again, that can be another factor to consider. We're looking at all these things for.
And just to put some solid numbers behind this, I mean, when we looked at the three things we suggested to Joan, stop doubling up on the mortgage, so that's $3,000. Stop that backdoor Roth conversion. I'm not even going to include bringing the 401k down to the match. That's $44,000 a year of additional of additional savings for Joan, and we don't have to incorporate taxes because that was already all after-tax money. She was taking her her net paycheck and putting another $3,000 towards the mortgage. Her backdoor Roth is an is a non-deductible IRA contribution, then moved to the Roth, so that was already taxed. So we're $44,000 a year over the next 2 years. That's $88,000 of additional savings that we can create for her, really just by changing her habits and not asking her to change anything about her current lifestyle.
And you're not even incorporating the 401k.
Exactly.
Throw it back. So it should be well over $100,000 that she has.
Exactly.
And the truth is she's going to need it.
Yes.
Because her pension will kick in, but...
not till 55.
Exactly. And then when it does, we still have a gap.
Right, to 62 to get to Social Security.
Right. So we knew that we had an income gap plus a Social Security gap, and we still need $4,000 a month.
Right.
So it's good to plan these things out in advance, at least create the roadmap.
And my guess is that I was talking with her about this as we were wrapping the meeting up, and I thought, Joan, I bet you don't retire in 2 years. Because I've noticed once we've had an opportunity to sit down with prospective or even current clients, and they have gotten to the point where they can retire, and it now becomes their decision as to when, seems like that gives them some more longevity. I think it's because it puts you in the driver's seat for the decision, can make it easier to get up and go to work every day. And then, Dad, like you have always said, now the question is there something more compelling than your paycheck on the other side that would not force the decision, but make the decision compelling to you? Usually people are working because I need to save more. Well, you've passed that hurdle, which is a fabulous. Now you're to the point where what am I going to do on the other side?
Right. Do I enjoy doing something else more than I enjoy getting up to go to work every day?
Right, or seeing that money deposited into your account every 2 weeks.
Well, exactly. And it's, again, also, it's not just the actual work that you're performing, but it's the relationships that you have at work.
Certainly.
As well as frankly, the ego part of it. I mean, a lot of our self-worth is tied up in our self-image of how we see ourselves through our work. You have to be ready to do your thing. And I know that our phone lines are open. We'd love to hear from you, 314-931-5877 or 84126 from the text line. We'll be looking forward to answering those texts and calls after our first break of the hour, so don't touch that dial. We'll be back with more Straight Talk on Retirement after these messages.
Hey, it's Heidi, and I feel very lucky to love where I live, and I know Lauren Risley feels the same. And her team at Lauren Risley Realty wants you to experience that same great feeling. One of their mottos at Lauren Risley Realty is love where you live or move. Dream homes are their specialty. Actually, they do a lot of things right, because when you buy or sell a home, it's not just a transaction. What the Lauren Risley team does is build relationships, and I've seen that firsthand. So if you have plans to buy, sell, invest, or just have a question about any of it, call Lauren Risley Realty, 314-775-0684. That's 314-775-0684. You can also email Lauren at hello@laurenrisleyrealty.com.
Now there's a new way to take charge of your blood sugar. Introducing new Garlic Healthy Blood Sugar Formula from the makers of the nation's best-selling garlic supplement. New Garlic helps maintain healthy blood sugar levels with clinically supported levels of garlic, plus a custom blend of vitamins and minerals, and it's odor-free. Take charge of your blood sugar with new Garlic Healthy Blood Sugar Formula. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Use as directed.
Everything he can to keep his coworkers safe. From finding ways to reduce risks to keeping safety supplies in stock. And for that, he relies on Grainger. Grainger offers a broad range of quality products and next-day delivery, so he can always play it safe. Call Grainger, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Merry Christmas, boys and girls.
Hi, it's Jill Farmer, and it is Christmas in July. We're partnering up with the Salvation Army to make sure the neediest kids in our region get toys. The Salvation Army provides Christmas gifts to 6,500 St. Louis kids who wouldn't have much Christmas without the Angel Tree Toy Town event. Thanks to the tornado that damaged so many homes in North St. Louis, the Salvation Army knows the need will be greater than ever this year.
Whew, only 10 million more lists to go.
Coming up in July, bring your family out for a fun outdoor movie event at Westport Plaza to watch The Sandlot on July 18th. Bring a new toy for the Salvation Army and enjoy the movie for free. It's Christmas in July, brought to you by KTRS and Westport Plaza, supporting the Salvation Army.
This is Erin Lapidus, the retirement coach. Wouldn't it be great to have a game plan, a real strategy, so that no matter what was going on in the stock market, the economy, or the world, you could be confident about your retirement? Wouldn't that be great? If you're within 5 years of retirement, call me today at 314-863-0008. That's 314-863-0008. Or send me an email at aaron@jblfinancial.com to arrange your free coaching session. Let's get started on your retirement game plan today.
Let's talk about smart choices for your money. It's Straight Talk and Retirement on the Big 550 KTRS. Here are your retirement coaches, Jeff and Erin Lapidus.
Welcome back to the show. It's 9:46:48 here on the Big 550 KTRS.
Being precise, I like that.
Yeah, it's 56 now.
Seconds are flying by.
Exactly. And we're 3/4 of the way through hour number one of our show. Our phone lines are open. We'd love to hear from you. 314-931-5877 or 84126 from the text line.
And our next texter writes, how much does Medicare increase if your adjusted gross income is over a certain limit? Well, if you're married filing jointly, you'll be leaving the $185 Part B premium behind at $212,000. So if you're above that, you're going to pay an extra $74,000 all the way up to $266,000.
Wait, $74, right?
Yes.
Oh, you said 74,000. It don't feel like that.
Absolutely. When you get to $266,000 married filing jointly, then it's $185 plus another $185.
So when you get to what was that number?
$266,000.
So when you get to $266, your premium literally doubles.
Exactly.
And this is unlike the Social Security take back, where that is strictly tied to you and your Social Security number. So if you took Social Security and your spouse is still working, you don't have to worry about the take back. With the Medicare Part B premium adjustment, because it's a filing jointly qualifier, doesn't matter who brings the income in, both premiums are going up. So it's almost like it quadrupled, because if you're a couple, both of your premiums are doubling.
Right. It's not just for one. Both of you are getting hit. And I'll just go through the next one. From $334,000 upwards of $400,000, it's going to be $295.90.
So that's even more than double, essentially. Right. But you do have everyone's listening, you can hear that the brackets are relatively wide. The first one begins at $212,000 married filing jointly. So for many people, this won't be an issue, but it is important if you are making sales of homes that are not primary residences, or you're making large sales of appreciated securities, you're going to want to be careful. Or if you're doing my dad's favorite, Roth conversions, you're going to want to pay attention to not only your tax bracket, you have another bracket layered on top of that, which are those Medicare premiums.
That's a great point vis-a-vis Roth conversions, because we get so caught up in the financials, we don't necessarily always seg back to what that will do to your Medicare Part B premiums.
Exactly. We've got So hopefully everybody was tuned in for the first segment of the show where we're talking about Joan, who's planning to retire early. We've got a follow-up question there.
And our follow-up question is, I stepped away, so I missed what Joan is going to do for her health care if she retires at 54 since she is too young for Medicare. I heard something about COBRA, but that is only good for a certain length of time, 18 months, I think. So what would she do in that period between COBRA and Medicare?
So, like we chatted about, what we would do is we would take a look at bridging her from COBRA after the 18 months using an individual health insurance policy, either utilizing the Affordable Care Act, and if whatever degree of subsidies are available at that time, it sounds like they'll be phased out over a 10-year period based on our new legislation. We'll take a look at those options. The plans on the Affordable Care Act's website versus what you can find directly from the insurance carrier are no different between one another. They all have to meet the same standards. It's just that in order to access the subsidy, you have to go through the Affordable Care Act's website. So if that's something we can do for Joan, we will, and especially because she'll be utilizing a lot of after-tax money, and her income need is relatively small. We might be able to take care of that for her. If not, then we'll just have to incorporate the additional expense of individual coverage at full price, and that's why we plan to amass. Looks like we can save Joan Joan can save about $88,000 a year just from changing where she is doing the savings. So we've got a nice runway to get her there, which is why planning early is always going to give you the most flexibility and the most choices.
Very good. Our phone lines are open. We'd love to hear from you, 314-931-5877 or 84126 from the text line, because we've got about 6 minutes left in the show. We're going to take a break right after. We do have another text, though, that we're following up on, right?
Actually, we're just going to go straight through to 5825 to be specific. So Don't worry about it. Take us to our text.
And our next texter writes, Thank you for walking me through the Medicare brackets. It's interesting to see how your taxes can affect your Medicare Part B premiums. That said, how does your investment strategy affect your clients' tax bills?
That's a good question. So, for many individuals in retirement, the majority of their assets and the majority of the assets that we are managing for them are inside of retirement accounts. So you do have a little bit of a benefit inside of your retirement account. We can make trades and we can realize gains inside of those accounts without having to pay taxes. So no taxes as we're making trades or changes inside of retirement accounts. The only time you're taxed is when that money is starting to be distributed from the accounts themselves. So we don't have to incorporate a tax planning strategy into what we are investing in. With traditional IRA assets, we do have to incorporate a distribution strategy to try to control taxes. With after-tax money, I think we're always looking towards utilizing vehicles that are going to minimize taxes, or for certain individuals, create some tax-free growth, or some tax-free yield. For example, using municipal bonds for clients that are in higher tax brackets can sometimes make sense.
Yeah, right, honey. And all I would ask is generally what we're looking at when we're talking about the non-retirement accounts, those after-tax accounts, which may be a transfer on death or a trust account, brokerage account. We're not looking at doing trading because we know that trading, especially in appreciated property, creates either short-term or long-term capital gains. Mm-hmm. So we don't want to necessarily create taxes in that case. At the same time, we're also looking at tax harvesting, which is there may be occasions where we do have gains, but we also may have losses.
Right.
And selling things so that we can minimize taxes is certainly a strategy that we use. But I would say overall, I've been following the philosophy over the last several years is that growth-oriented investments, those that aren't primarily dividend-oriented, have had better growth than value or more dividend-oriented investments.
Well, I believe isn't the average the average S&P yield is about 2%,
right? And
the average S&P returns are over 8%.
Right. So we're seeing capital appreciation. Sometimes you can invest something that gets both, but generally what you're looking at is if we're in a non-taxable account, okay, or an after-tax account, we would rather have growth, which creates unappreciated gains, versus dividends, unrealized gains, which again doesn't automatically create income, whether it would be, like they say, dividends or interest. So depending on the client's objective, we're looking at it that way. At the same time, we found, because of this orientation, that it's easier to skim growth through rebalancing than depend on income.
I thought you gave some pretty sound advice a couple of weeks back when we had a client that was looking to gift some stock to his grandkids, and you were like, hey, why not just make them the beneficiary? That way they don't inherit your cost basis and you'll save them taxes.
Absolutely right. Hold that in your name. Don't give it to them. In this case, what we do is we actually set up a separate transfer on death account and really let the money be there for that child. But again, Grandpa was paying any taxes on the money if there was any appreciation. But at the same time, as you were referring to, Rob, the step up in basis to fair market value at the date of death is maybe one of the most powerful tools in the Internal Revenue Code as a way to transfer assets to other folks, to the people you love, without paying taxes.
Get to the same place and more tax efficiently.
Exactly.
So don't send securities in life. Send cash.
Yes.
So we have a perennial favorite question that I would like to put a pin in until our next hour. However, we got a great Medicare question that came in, so let's get to that one.
And our next texter writes, are you aware of any long-term benefits I would be forfeiting from not being on Medicare while getting a kidney transplant? I plan on returning to work, and my employer will keep me on the insurance while I leave. I talked to Social Security and ended the call with even more confusion.
My recommendation is there is no reason for you not to take Medicare while you are not only undergoing the kidney transplant but the recovery, because you are able to drop the Medicare benefits as soon as you are done with your treatment and going back to work. What will happen is you get some enhanced benefits through Medicare Part B for kidney transplant. So, for example, many of your medications are going to be covered under Part B instead of under Part D, the drug benefit. But mechanically, how things are going to work is that if you're staying on your employer's coverage, it's going to pay first, Medicare will pay second, and then you will pay whatever the balance is. Now, you will have that Medicare Part B premium to pay. However, I have seen in most cases that it's worth it to take advantage of those benefits. You are not forfeiting anything if you elect the benefit and then drop it when you're done. You're also not forfeiting anything if you decide not to take the benefit and just utilize your employer's coverage. So hopefully that provided some clarity. If not, our next segment is specifically dedicated to Medicare. So either please give us a call at 314. What is the phone number?
314-931-5877.
Thank you. Or 84126 on the text line.
There you go.
We'll be right back.
Diana from Newstetter's Fine Jewelers here to remind you, we don't just offer the best pieces, we offer one of the last master hand engravers in our country. My father can create timeless, personal, and unforgettable pieces. Come by our showroom at the corner of Big Ben and Doherty Ferry or learn more online at wowdiamonds.com.
Greetings. I'm Camille Reinhold with Happy Brain Counseling in Kirkwood, Missouri. Please tune in to our show monthly on Sundays at 10 a.m. Please check us out at happy-brain.com.
It's summertime in St. Louis, and the Big 550 is ready to go.
Keeping you company to share a laugh and make some summer memories. Thank you for taking the Big 550 with you wherever you go.
Download the mobile app, stream online, and watch us live on our KTRS YouTube channel.
Live, local, homegrown. We are the Big 550 KTRS.
Depend on it.
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 This is Mariah, third generation at Newstetter's Fine Jewelry. Buying an engagement ring can be intimidating. At Newstetter's, we ensure complete understanding of your purchase. We offer a choice in both lab and mine-grown diamonds and are able to work with any budget. Let our family help educate you on your choice at Big Ben and Doherty Ferry or at wowdiamonds.com.
This is the Big 550 KTRS St. Louis, Alton, Valley Park, St. Louis, and the world.
Streaming live at KTRS.com.
KTRS St. Louis.
Live and local.
Depend on it.
From ABC News, I'm Mike Zabusky. President Trump is threatening new tariffs on some of America's biggest trading partners. The latest are targeted at Mexico and the European Union, which could see 30% tariffs take effect at the start of next month if they don't strike new trade deals with the U.S. ABC News senior White House correspondent Selena Wang says the broad range of tariffs the administration is threatening could affect your finances.
The Yale Budget Lab estimates that all of Trump's proposed tariffs could cost the average American household an extra $2,400 this year. Your cup of coffee could get more expensive. The U.S. imported nearly $2 billion worth of coffee from Brazil last year. Clothing and shoes could get pricier because of tariffs on countries like Bangladesh and Cambodia. The president has also proposed 50% tariffs on copper. That could drive up costs on everything from appliances to electric vehicles.
Overnight, a federal judge ordered the Trump administration to halt indiscriminate immigration stops in Los Angeles and 6 other California counties. The judge says the DHS cannot detain someone based on their race, spoken language, or job, and that they cannot deny a detainee the right to legal counsel. The Trump administration is also facing scrutiny for its response to last week's deadly flooding in central Texas, which killed nearly 130 people. Former FEMA Administrator Deanne Criswell.
This was a terrible event, but it's a state that actually has a lot of capability. What if something like this happened in a different state and they didn't have those resources to come in right away, and we're trying to decide whether or not FEMA should come in or not? Those are the kind of questions that we had in place before Katrina. We've made so much progress since then.
The president himself was in Texas yesterday, touring the devastation. And there are new details in the investigation into that deadly Air India crash last month that found the fuel cutoff switches were flipped shortly after takeoff. You're listening to ABC News.
Quiet down. Here she comes. Surprise! Your accountant just emailed to say your quarterly taxes are way higher than you were expecting.
At Progressive, we know small business owners don't usually like surprises because they cost you money. But a good surprise that could save you money? Getting discounts with a commercial auto quote from Progressive.
Also, your favorite employee is leaving. They're going to pursue their dream of being a veterinarian.
Surprise yourself. See if you can save in as little as 7 minutes at ProgressiveCommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Discounts not available in all states or situations.
Do you hear that? Asthma triggers are everywhere, from dust mites, pet dander, and pollen, to smog and smoke. An asthma attack can strike anywhere, anytime. Be prepared with quick-acting Primatene Mist. Clinically proven to open airways quickly. It's the #1 FDA-approved asthma inhaler available over the counter. Primatene Mist. Breathe easy again. Use as directed.
More trouble in the skies as a Delta flight bound for New York was forced to make an unexpected landing.
There was crying. You could hear people praying.
Delta Flight 127, leaving Madrid, Spain earlier this week, headed to New York's JFK Airport. Nearly 300 passengers and crew on board. But a third of the way into the flight, some passengers saying they heard a loud boom.
Everyone sort of looked at each other like, did you hear that? What happened?
The aircraft forced to divert, landing safely at the Lajes Airport in the Azores, a chain of small islands in the middle of the ocean. Passengers disembarking, remaining on the island for nearly 30 hours before a new plane arrived to take them to their destination.
ABC's Matt Rivers. A mandatory evacuation order is in effect in Arizona as wildfires threaten the Grand Canyon.
The White Sage Fire near the Grand Canyon explodes to more than 10,000 acres, 0% contained. Officials expanding evacuation zones, forcing residents to flee and prompting the closure of the famed park's North Rim. That massive blaze fueled by dangerous heat and dry conditions.
ABC News meteorologist Samara Theodore. That's just one of the fires threatening the national landmark. The other, the Dragon Bravo fire, has scorched about 1,500 acres. A big shakeup in the artificial intelligence race. Google says it's hiring a number of employees from Windsurf, an AI coding company. OpenAI, the company that makes ChatGPT, had been in talks to buy Windsurf, reportedly for around $3 billion. Mike Dubusky, ABC News.
Now there's a new way to take charge of your blood sugar. Introducing new Garlic Healthy Blood Sugar Formula from the makers of the nation's best-selling garlic supplement. New Garlic helps maintain healthy blood sugar levels with clinically supported levels of garlic, plus a custom blend of vitamins and minerals. And it's odor-free. Take charge of your blood sugar with new Garlic Healthy Blood Sugar Formula. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Use as directed.
This is Jeff Lapidus, the retirement coach. Wouldn't it be great to have a game plan, a real strategy, so that no matter what was going on in the stock market, the economy, or the world, that you could be confident about your retirement? Wouldn't that be great? If you're within 5 years of retirement, call me today at 314-863-0008. That's 314-863-0008. Or send me an email, jeff@jblfinancial.com, to arrange your free coaching session. Let's get started on your retirement game plan today.
Let's talk about smart choices for your money. It's Straight Talk and Retirement on the Big 550 KTRS. Here are your retirement coaches, Jeff and Erin Lapidus.
Welcome back, everyone, to Straight Talk on Retirement, hour number 2. So we're going to kick this hour off with our Smart Choices About Your Healthcare segment.
Because you care, we talk Medicare.
But first, we've got a couple of text questions to clean up, and don't worry, to our texter on the financial side, we are coming back to that question.
Right.
We literally can't wait to come back
just
to it.
Just a little bit of housekeeping. We're going to go to a couple of text questions, but that one text question, we're just going to circle back to that when we're done with our Medicare segment. So don't worry, we will get to you. And our next texter writes, in your opinion only, do you think the Affordable Care Act is going to be available in 2 to 4 years, or while Republicans are in office?
Well, I guess because my opinion is the only one that I can give, this will be easy. I do think it's going to remain in place because if we look back to the first Trump administration, I believe the catchphrase was repeal and replace.
What happened with that?
Not a thing. We haven't repealed or replaced by any means. I also don't think, I believe that there was a 10-year phase out of the subsidy incorporated into this legislation to give Congress time to act again if they'd like to. And putting a 10-year time horizon on that gives 5 new midterm elections to be able to change Congress over to make adjustments. So not saying that we won't see additional changes to the Affordable Care Act, additional changes to the potential subsidies, but I don't believe that we'll see it entirely going away. Even with a Republican Congress, they don't seem to have the will to do those major things.
No, repeal and replace didn't happen, and we got to remember it was a Republican, George W. Bush, that actually expanded Medicare into Part D. So
that's true. So actually some of the biggest expansion of health care has come from Republicans. But I just see this as something that's on the back burner, especially with all of the other conversations that are going on right now. It seems like although health care might be a priority for all of us, doesn't seem as though it's a priority in D.C.
I mean, if you start playing around with it in a way that's detrimental to the voters, you could pay a big price for that.
That's right.
And our next texter writes, I turned 70 on February 1st, 2026, and delayed taking Social Security until then. When should I apply, and when will I receive my first Social Security check?
So the earliest that you're able to apply is going to be December. So you'll want to log on to the SSA.gov website and begin your application. Request a February start date. Your first check will not arrive in February. It will actually arrive in March. Now, if there's any issues with with the processing of your application, any delays, then Social Security will make up the difference for you. So let's say, for example, that you didn't receive that first check in March. It didn't come until April. You'll actually receive 2 payments in April to make up for that missed March payment. So I wouldn't wait, because as soon as February hits, you are not receiving any increases on your Social Security benefit any longer because you've reached 70, so those automatic increases stop. The earliest that you can apply is 3 months prior to when you'd like it to begin. You'd like it to begin February, so December would be the earliest, and then you'll receive your first check 1 month later in the month of March.
I love those when they were digging into Social Security and they found people that were from the Revolutionary War getting their Social Security check.
Especially since they didn't have Social Security then, even to collect.
Well,
they weren't even eligible when they were fighting it because it didn't exist.
These are veterans. We'll get them some Social Security, Erin.
It's retroactive. I like that.
Oh, funny. So let's talk a little bit about Patricia. Patricia is 44 years old and collects Social Security due to an autoimmune disorder she developed a couple of years back.
So she's on Social Security disability income.
Correct.
Okay.
She was diagnosed with Whipple disease and was unable to continue working. So she's been on disability since September of 2023. Last month, she got a card in the mail that was red, white, and blue with Part A and B on it. She called us, and she was quite confused because when she read the letter, it stated that she'd been opted onto Medicare to start on 9/1, and she wanted to cancel Medicare. And if she wanted to cancel Medicare, she would need to call and opt out. She was really confused because she didn't get online, she didn't go to the Social Security office, she didn't speak to anyone over the phone about enrolling in Medicare. She was already on her husband's insurance through his employer at Emerson, where he pays about $500 a month to keep her in coverage.
Oh, so Patty wanted some clarification on why she got her enrollment and when she was already on her husband's plan, and if she opted out, what would happen. So essentially what happens here is that if you have been approved for Social Security disability income, the day that you are approved, now if it was backdated, you get the credit for the backdating as well, because many individuals know that applying for Social Security disability can be a very difficult process. It can take a long time. So let's just say, for example, in Patty's case, she began Social Security disability September of 2023. 24 months from the date of Social Security disability activation is when you are eligible for Medicare. So Patricia is eligible for Medicare, and that is why she received the card. You don't have to apply for it. This is very similar to if you are 65 years old and already taking your Social Security benefit. Medicare assumes that you want Medicare, and they will send you the card. Now, you have the opportunity to send the card back and say that you would not like to take Medicare benefits. You are only returning your Medicare Part B you're only returning your Medicare Part B benefits in this instance. And also, if you are just taking straight Social Security and over 65 years old but not wanting Medicare, you cannot give up Medicare Part A. If you're on Social Security or Social Security disability, you get to keep that. The good news is, for most people, Medicare Part A doesn't cost anything above and beyond what you already paid in through Medicare taxes. What Patricia is considering is returning her Medicare Part B benefit. So, if Patricia decides and her husband decide they don't want to pay for Medicare, she'll just send it back. It does not limit your ability to elect Medicare benefits down the line. It doesn't change your benefits, and it certainly doesn't create any penalties for you if you decide not to elect and this is a little different, even if you don't have qualified coverage, which if you're on disability, you probably want qualified coverage. But even in the instance that you didn't have qualified coverage, there are no penalties for not electing Medicare through Social Security disability.
So because she has her husband, because she's insured with credible coverage through her husband's employer, she's opted out of all those penalties by not selecting Part B.
Well, actually, Social Security disability does not have penalties if you don't take Medicare. So even if she didn't have her husband's coverage, then there wouldn't be a penalty assessed against her whenever she decided to elect Medicare benefits. There are penalties assessed against you if you turn 65 or eligible for Medicare and don't have qualified coverage. So that's important to consider too. But so we kind of covered why Patty was enrolled in Medicare Part A and B. You can't get rid of Part A. We can consider dropping Part B. If she'd like.
She can opt out of both A and B and stay on her husband's insurance until he retires in 20 years if she wanted to.
She can't opt out of Part A. That is permanent. But she can opt out of Part B. Yes.
And she'll have no as long as she keeps some part of her husband's insurance.
Yes. That's correct. All right. So now the question really becomes, does it make sense for Patty to take Medicare or to stay on her husband's plan? So right now, they're paying $500 a month for coverage through her husband's employer, plus she'd have another $185 a month from Medicare Part B if she elected to keep that benefit. So their total would be relatively high. It would be, $685 a month to cover Patty. I don't necessarily think this makes a lot of sense, because what happens, and this is very similar to our texter who was considering using Medicare while they were having a kidney transplant. Patty's husband's coverage is going to be primary. That's going to cover her first. So any claims that she has are going to go through her husband's plan first. Then it's going to run through Medicare. Now, Medicare only covers 80% of the actuarial value of your claims. So if Patty's current coverage covers 80%, Medicare is not going to step in and do much for us. So sometimes you're paying for a benefit that you're not going to really be utilizing. The question now becomes, does Patty keep her husband's coverage, or does she jump off of her husband's coverage and then elect Medicare as well? Doing that analysis, we really have to consider, all right, would Patty like a traditional Medicare policy with a supplement or a Medicare Advantage plan? Using the supplement, she'd have the $185 a month, plus about $200 a month for the supplement, plus a prescription drug plan. We can call that zero just to make things easy. So now we're at $385 a month. That's after tax. Patty's husband gets a deduction, or he gets to take that $500 a month premium off the top of his income. So it's a non-taxable event, meaning you're not paying taxes on that $500 a month that's going towards premium for Patty's coverage. So $385 after tax versus $500 pre-tax.
It's almost a wash.
It's pretty much a wash. So,
if she stays with the supplement. If she went to a Medicare Advantage plan, there would be some savings because she'd just pay the $185 for Part B, and her deductible at that point coming off her husband's plan would go from $10,000 to only $2,500 under a Medicare Advantage plan.
The max out of pocket's $10,000 on the plan, but it's a family one, so that's $5,000 each person.
So they would save from the $500 they are paying. That would drop to $200 just to cover him. So they would save that $300 there, add back in the Part B premium. So not only would they get a savings monthly, which would be about $115, but they would also get a big reduction in those max out-of-pocket costs.
Absolutely. So it sounds like, on the face of it, it would make sense for Patty to have an additional conversation. Let's take a look at, does Medicare Advantage or a traditional supplement make sense? If Medicare Advantage is a decent fit, then it would make sense for Patty to hop off of her husband's coverage, take Medicare, and not use her husband's plan to supplement Medicare, because that's really not how it's working. Medicare is actually supplementing the employer plan in this instance, using a true Medicare Advantage plan or a supplement to help cover those expenses that Medicare doesn't cover.
Absolutely. So she's got some options, and we just need to get a little bit firmer picture of exactly what the costs are.
That's right. So with that, I think we should let's take our first break of the hour a little early, but everyone is still welcome to give us a call, 314-931-5877, or send us a text, 84126 on the text line. If it's about health insurance, we'll still be happy to answer it even after the break, but our first priority is going to be discussing Roth conversions after these messages.
It's the half-price sale at Miller Furniture and Mattress, now extended through Sunday, July 13th.
I'm Mark Miller, owner of Miller Furniture, your home for quality American-made furniture since 1927. Right now, save half off our list price on all in-stock items, plus half off custom orders from Flex Steel, Smith Brothers, and Amish-made furniture and more.
And get 0% interest financing up to 60 months. See our fully stocked Flex Steel galleries and the area's largest selection of Amish-made furniture, plus half off our new outdoor furniture gallery.
It's half price on any Chatham & Wells mattress when you purchase an adjustable base. Plus, try out our very comfortable premium Stearns & Foster and Tempur-Pedic mattresses.
Visit any of our 4 locations in Belleville, Fairview Heights, Lake St. Louis, or Ellisville and save on over $8 million of inventory. You'll see why we were voted Retailer of the Year by the Home Furnishings Association.
Don't miss the half-price sale at Miller Furniture, extended for one final weekend through July 13th.
The world is ever-changing.
The most feared war that Israel could face.
And the Big 550 has the resources of ABC News, interacting with ABC News correspondents on the scene of the top stories nationally and worldwide that matter to you.
Jordana Miller, ABC News correspondent in Jerusalem, joins us with the latest.
To bring you personal experiences of events abroad.
What's it been like for civilians in Israel?
Listen, it has been for reporters like me and some who have young children, it's been, probably the most difficult 12 days in my life. You're making your bag, putting it by the door. When the siren goes off at 2 in the morning, you need to get them up and put their shoes on, give them a hug, grab your bag, and go outside to a real bomb shelter.
We are the Big 550 KTRS, the talk of St. Louis. Depend on it.
This is Erin Lapidus, the retirement coach. Wouldn't it be great to have a game plan, a real strategy, so that no matter what was going on in the stock market, the economy, or the world, you could be confident about your retirement? Wouldn't that be great? If you're within 5 years of retirement, call me today at 314-863-0008. That's 314-863-0008. Or send me an email at Erin@jblfinancial.com to arrange your free coaching session. Let's get started on your retirement game plan today.
Now, back to Straight Talk on Retirement on the Big 550 KTRS. Here are Jeff and Erin Lapidus.
Well, welcome back to the show. It's 10:22 here on the Big 550 KTRS. My talented team members had another great Medicare segment, which we love to hear. And, we do this every week because we're helping folks retire every week. It's important, not only financially, but also in terms of their Medicare coverage. And so this is an every week thing for us, and that's why we're going to keep talking to you about it every single week. And thousands, literally thousands of folks we're helping with Medicare, so it's great. And again, you know what you can do if you are getting ready to transition to Medicare. You can talk to one of our Medicare experts, 314-863-0008. But let's get back to your questions and calls. Our phone lines are open. We'd love to hear from you, 314-931-5877 or 84126 from the text line.
And we put a pin in this text because we received it right at the end of the first hour, but we're going to circle back to it. It says, "Good morning. We know that Mr. Lapidus is not in favor of Roth conversions."
That's so formal, Mr. Lapidus.
Can he give us a quick math example as to why he is not in favor of these?
Okay.
So I thought, Dad.
Yes, babe.
I've done a little math slower than you usually, though, but I wrote it all out. Let's do our average client. They need about $90,000. They need about $4,500 a month, I would say, right?
Yeah.
That's okay. Which means we want to gross that up for taxes, of course. So we need about $5,400 a month. I said 20%, 15 Fed, 5 state.
Perfect.
$5,000 a month will come from Social Security. Husband $3,000, wife $2,000. So that leaves them with a need of $400 a month.
Right.
And I say all this, everyone, because Social Security at this moment is only 85% taxable. So that means that $51,000 of that Social Security benefit will be taxable to them, plus the $4,800 of annualized income from their IRA account, so $400 a month that we were making up in our example. That means that their income is at $55,800 of taxable income in a year.
Putting them in the 11% tax bracket.
Correct. I mean, really,
if
we did the math as strictly as possible, the first $23,800, so the first $24,000 is at 10%, and the balance is at 12%. So, right, they're essentially at maybe 11%.
And if I'm not mistaken, that bracket goes all the way up to 90.
Yes, the 12% bracket goes to 96,950. It's been adjusted for inflation.
So they're not, they've got plenty of $40,000 plus of wiggle room to get to that next bracket.
Correct.
Thank you for setting the stage.
Okay.
So,
I didn't assume what they have in their IRA accounts, though. I didn't do that part.
Let's not even go there. Let's back up for a minute.
Okay.
Somebody is receiving. Let's assume again we're consuming all their income. They're spending $5,000 a month.
Mm-hmm.
That means they're probably making before they're retired between $9,000 and $10,000 a month.
Oh, so you're saying we're not even in retirement yet, so now we've just got full taxable income.
Right. It's
Gotcha.
about 10, and, typically you bring home between 40 and 60%, depending on where you're at.
Right.
So let's say that somebody's like that. Okay, so that means that their effective tax rate now is really probably a little bit closer to 15 to 20%.
Right, because they're in the 22% marginal rate.
Beautiful.
And we're assuming everything is married filing jointly for this example, just so everyone is clear, because we don't want to keep going back and forth between the brackets. It makes too many numbers.
That's okay. So let's key in on that number.
Okay.
And so let's assume they have an IRA and they decide that, you know what, I've been listening to all these radio shows and reading all this.
They love a Roth conversion.
And internet pornography. And we're going to do a Roth conversion. I want to convert $50,000.
Okay.
Well, that $50,000, 22% bracket, costs you $11,000.
Right.
Okay. Now, obviously, you have to put the $11,000 out of your pocket back into the Roth, or you just paid that in taxes, so you really don't have a true conversion of $50,000. You only have a conversion of about 39.
Right.
So let's put that aside. You paid Uncle Sam your taxes. Nobody waved the flag for you. Whatever. Okay.
Okay.
And now it's time you want to pull money out. You're in the 11% bracket.
Oh, you mean we're skipping ahead now to you're retired?
Now you're retired.
So you did the conversion.
You did the conversion at 22%.
And you're pulling it out at 11.
Why did you do
Why?
that? Right.
Why would you do it? Now let's get a little bit more spicy here. Let's just say that
spicy.
Let's just say for fun that, and this is where we're really seeing it. Let's say that actually we're having a family income of $15,000 a month.
Ooh.
Okay, so they're $180,000 a year, and then they're going to do a conversion of 50. Oh, by the way, they're now in the 25% bracket.
24. That is correct.
Thank you.
The government has to be bizarre. 8, 10, 12, 22, 24.
They're pulling it out at 24%, but then when they retire, they're only paying taxes at 11%. The silence is because my brain stopped working. It's like I'm trying to find the connectivity here between, it makes sense, other than being patriotic, to do a conversion or not? And the answer is not.
What about if we fast forward to our example in retirement, where we're saying they're spending about $5,000 a month, but they only are paying taxes on about $55,800. So, like Rob mentioned, they've got about $40,000 in the 12% bracket to go.
Right.
Would it then make sense to do a Roth conversion?
No.
Why no?
It never makes sense. Because that's fear factor number 2. Oh, my God. If I don't do a conversion when we get to 73, when we're a grown-up, which I'm not yet, by the way, I have to make a required minimum distribution at 4%. So you're pulling 4%. You're probably having 4% of your IRA. I don't care.
Right.
You have $1 million.
It's only $40,000.
That's right.
And in that example, they still have plenty of wiggle room to fit that
in the 11% bracket.
And we didn't assume any deductions. We didn't even use the standard deduction. None of these things. So
there's only one reason, in my mind, that you're not getting hornswoggled here. Okay?
Hornswoggled.
There's a word for you.
Did you make that one up?
Yes, that you're not getting duped. Okay, that you haven't totally lost your brain.
It reminds me of when Grandma would make up Yiddish words.
Right, exactly. It's called, I don't want my children to have to pay taxes.
This is the greatest reason of all, everyone.
This is a great one. And so I'm looking at my oldest prodigal daughter. I don't like you that much. I'm not going to be paying federal income taxes at outrageous rates to save you from having to take the money out over a 10-year period.
We could adjust
in a lower tax bracket, God willing.
Well, I mean, we have the flexibility. I love flexibility. We have the flexibility of adjusting your pay in order to accommodate for said conversion.
To zero? I don't think so. Talk to your mother. Okay?
My goodness.
You might not get that primary for dinner tomorrow night. So, no.
Okay.
I mean, the answer is no. And frankly, let's take it even one more step.
Wait, let's take it one more step after we get our caller. Because caller's been holding for a minute.
Thank you so much for holding.
Good morning, Jim.
Hi. I called last week regarding the new Social Security deduction increase for over 65, and I think it was the day after they signed it. I thought I heard you say that it was a credit, and when I'm reading, it's a deduction.
Yeah, they're calling it a credit, but it functions as a deduction. So they're calling it the senior tax credit, but it functions as a deduction. So the language is a little confusing, but the way we described it is pretty accurate. If you want to repeat your question, though, we're happy to get you an
So I guess what my other question is, I'm looking at it or reading on it now, and for married filing jointly, it's $150,000 of modified adjusted gross income.
Yes.
And it's a 6% reduction.
$6,000 per person. If you're married, it's $12,000.
Right.
Deduction that you receive.
Right, but they get a 6% reduction in the credit in the deduction if you're over the 150, but below. What's the next number?
It was 175.
Yeah.
So if it's anything over the 150, whatever that amount is over, it gets reduced by 6% of that amount, correct?
Yes,
correct.
It's a phase-out. That's correct. Sort of similar like what they do with IRA or Roth deductions.
Right, but then once you get over, I think we believe it's 175, then you're not eligible for it at all anymore.
Right. I thought it was 250, but I can read up on it.
Double check on that. But yeah, there is a point where it's completely phased out.
Okay, just wanted to make sure. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Very good question. And sometimes even our government plays word salad, which is what they did with this. They called it a credit, but it's really just a deduction.
Right. They're for catchphrase, they're calling it the senior tax credit. The way we described it, although we're calling it a credit to be consistent with what they are calling it, we described it as a deduction. Also, that leads back to the fact that someone asked, if we don't pay taxes, do we get to take that as a credit? You don't. It's not it's not transferable. Meaning, if you only owe $500 if you owe nothing in taxes, you do not get $6,000 or $12,000 back.
So
you
you're
get
right,
nothing.
honey. And this is reason number 65 that you don't do a Roth.
conversion.
So it's below. This is a below the line since it's a deduction. Credits are above the line.
That's correct. But I'm just saying is
right.
So you don't want, if you're married financially, you
right.
don't want your adjusted gross income to go over 150. So in the example that you gave us,
yes,
et cetera, with somebody who has an taxable income stream of $6,000 per month, $72,000 per year, they would be very careful.
Right.
If they were.
Well, now you got to play it very
delusionally
right.
wanting to.
You really want to work with a CPA or another tax professional
right.
if you're trying to play this game and take advantage of the $12,000 senior credit. So you have to be over 65 with a Social Security number to have access to this, meet the income qualifications. But if your Roth conversion bumps you over that, then you lost the credit, or then you lost the deduction.
And you're right. And you may even have negatively affected your Medicare Part B premiums because you're really getting close to that.
212.
212 number, right. So, again, it's interesting. I'm not really against Roth conversions.
Yes, you are.
Unfortunately, I'm against the way that it's marketed, and frankly, it's marketed wrong. It's sort of just like Roth IRA itself. I mean, folks don't. This notion that you're paying more income taxes in retirement
mm-hmm.
than you are when you're working is wrong. 90% of our clients have adjusted gross incomes of $90,000 or less, which means they're in an 11% bracket.
Well, and I think
that's,
right.
I mean, I'm just saying this. I mean, think about this, and that's indexed, by the way. Think about it here, kiddies. Don't do this. Don't pay more taxes in a higher tax bracket, number one, while you're working. Never do that. Why would you put money into a Roth, period, if you're only going to pay 11% in taxes? I mean, the tax deduction you get today is so valuable to you because you saved that taxes for God knows how many years until you actually
and
go
also
to retire.
That's for the piece that we haven't discussed, which is if you have to pay, if you don't have the liquid cash to pay the taxes, then you're going to lose the growth on the conversion, because in our example, when we were converting $50,000, that was at the 22% bracket. That's $11,000. So if you don't have the $11,000 to pay the IRS,
you're not converting $50,000.
You convert $39,000, which means you have now lost the growth on $11,000 forever because it's not inside of the Roth; it's with the IRS. And just for clarity for everyone, for joint filers, the first phase out begins for the senior tax credit at $150,000. The full phase out is $250,000 married filing jointly. So our caller was correct. If you have a adjusted gross income of above $250,000, the senior tax credit is not available to you. Below $250,000 is just going to depend upon where you fall. The phase out begins at $150,000. So
it's like Roth. I mean, it's funny. I mean, honestly, I'm not going to beat this too much, but when you think about the legislation, who are the people that could have benefited the most from a Roth IRA? It's people that have higher incomes. Right. You pay the taxes, you put it in, you let it grow. You can give it to your kids later if you feel like doing it, or if you're like most of our clients, you go to get a car that's $40,000, or you buy a truck that's $70,000, or you redo the kitchen, or somebody gets married. You need to access large amounts of capital. Well, great. You don't want to pull out your retirement plan and pay taxes. You've got it over here in this Roth. That would be great. But they never let folks that had earned income over $100,000 to even make contributions.
So we have some pushback.
Good.
Which is apparently we are not estimating required minimum distributions will force people into higher tax brackets, forcing them into higher Medicare costs.
Well, when that person can show me that movie, I'd love to see it, because I've never seen that movie occur. Because for most of our clients, they're taking distributions today
to meet their income needs,
which are then also applied against the RMD.
And I would also just mention here that we have to keep in mind a few things. One, all of your Social Security benefit is not taxable. That was true prior to the new legislation. Secondly, we are not funding to 100% of your gross pay while you are working. We're looking to fund to 100% of your net spending. So we want to reconfigure where you think you will be in retirement. Now, we do have some clients where if they are single, down the line, we have seen them bumped into higher brackets just because individual filers pay more in taxes, unfortunately, than married filing jointly because the bracket's cut in half. And if you were the single spouse surviving...
I wouldn't disagree with you, but it's a rarity.
And also doing the Roth conversions now isn't necessarily going to have helped, because if we use the same principle, while you're working, you're in the higher tax bracket. That's true. How quickly are you going to be able to convert your IRA assets into Roth without pushing yourself into the higher Medicare Part B premium while you're doing the conversions? And then secondarily, if you're not converting quickly enough, you're going to end up with not the same amount of traditional IRA assets, but it's not going to be as depleted as you think. Because, let's say you have $1 million IRA. If you're converting $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 a year to stay within the bracket, if you're seeing any growth in the traditional IRA, you're growing it back again to then have to deal with the required minimum distribution. But
honey, I love what you're doing. It's
I'm
funny.
trying.
I'm just trying to imagine this conversation with a client. Oh, by the way, I have a great idea for you today.
I have a great idea for you today.
This is so great. I'm so excited. I'm so excited about this. Let's pull $50,000 from your IRA, which we're going to pay taxes on. We'll have to say on Uncle Sam $10,000 or et cetera. So we can open up a Roth IRA for you. It'll go tax-free. You don't have one, so you have to at least let it sit there for 5 years. And then you can access it later. Doesn't that sound great? Give Uncle Sam $10,000, then wait 5 years. Maybe you can get some more. Well, let's see what I have one. Great. Throw it in there.
Right.
Okay. What does that do for me, Jeff? Well, you don't get a thank you card from Uncle Sam. So what does it do?
And you certainly don't get less potholes or anything.
Exactly. So I love being the sole voice of reason
on this particular issue.
I really do. I mean, I honestly, I really do. And
well, let's take our last texter into consideration before our next break. We created a fact situation where we have and if we'd like, we can bump the numbers up, but we said they were spending $4,500 a month. That's really $5,400 if we incorporate taxes. Social Security was $5,000 a month, but only $4,250 a month is taxable, and that does not include the new legislation. That is simply 85% of their Social Security benefit is taxable, leaving 15% non-taxable. They still need $400 a month to make up their $5,400 of income need. So that means they have a taxable income before any deductions, credits, whatever, of $55,800. Let's assume that they have how much in IRA assets? $1 million, $1.2 million, $1 million of IRA assets. Let's also assume that they are 67 years old right now, so they have 6 years to go before their required minimum distributions. $1 million. Let's say it grows to
$1.2 million just for fun.
Okay, so we went from $1 million to $1.2 million. Their required minimum distribution would be $44,000. Mm-hmm. $55,000 plus another $44,000 puts you at 99,000.
Yeah. So indexed, you're still going to be in the 11% tax bracket.
Correct. Yeah, you haven't actually broken out of the 12% bracket yet.
I don't think so. What's interesting is that when you're growing up, and I want to make this analogy to when you were playing soccer, honey.
Yes, my days of professional childhood soccer.
Your brain was big, but your feet were heavy, so you weren't great at soccer. But
God doesn't give with both hands.
I still wouldn't encourage you. If you run with the scrum, which is what it typically is with little kids, right? They're all like when
chasing the ball
together.
Mm-hmm.
The likelihood of you falling, getting run over, etc., is very high. What you want to do is you don't want to run with the crowd. You want to run away from the crowd. So you're open to get a pass or a ball that kicks out so you can kick a goal. They say that everything in life. If you're following conventional wisdom, you're probably going down the wrong path.
I think that over the next few weeks, I mean, we've been talking Roth conversion for like a few weeks now, but I think with the new legislation, I think that we should, now that it's become more clear, do a few segments once a week on ways to take advantage of the credit, of the deduction, the credit, the senior $12,000 that is available to individuals married filing jointly, because converting some Roth assets might be one of them, but it's certainly not the top thing that you could be considering.
Not if you want the credit for the next 3 years, and then it's gone.
Right. Well, so you have 3 years of opportunity to take advantage of a tax situation, and I think we should maybe come up with some thoughts as to what you might be able to do with it, because $12,000 is not a small amount to be able to shelter.
Well, I think what we're really probably looking at is if you have room to stay inside of your effective tax rate.
Right, you can stay under the $250,000 and
not kill yourself, not shoot yourself in the foot on the $6,000 or the $12,000, etc. Then that would make sense to do it. Now, do you put it into a Roth? Maybe, or do you do other stuff with it? Probably. Be good to talk about, right?
I think it would be helpful, especially because people have 3 years to utilize this, and the last 6 months of this year to take advantage of this year as well.
Absolutely. And you know what we should do? Let's take our
second break
of the hour, and we're waiting for this feisty texts to continue at 84126, or give us a call, 314-931-5877. We'll be right back after these short messages.
Do you hear that? Asthma triggers are everywhere, from dust mites, pet dander, and pollen, to smog and smoke. An asthma attack can strike anywhere, anytime. Be prepared with quick-acting Primatene Mist. Clinically proven to open airways quickly. It's the #1 FDA-approved asthma inhaler available over the counter. Primatene Mist. Breathe easy again. Use as directed.
Progressive presents Employee of the Month. Small Business Edition. Today's recipient from Michaela's Mobile Spa, Michaela! Michaela got a quick business insurance quote from Progressive and chose from over 30 customizable coverages. Sure, it helps she's her only employee and does literally everything, but while others would rest on their laurels, Michaela was hard at work saving big. So take that, hypothetical other employee who doesn't exist. Be your own Michaela. See if you could save in as little as 7 minutes at ProgressiveCommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Coverage is not available in all states or for all vehicles and coverage selections.
This is Jeff Lapidus, the retirement coach. Wouldn't it be great to have a game plan, a real strategy, so that no matter what was going on in the stock market, the economy, or the world, that you could be confident about your retirement? Wouldn't that be great? If you're within 5 years of retirement, call me today at 314-863-0008. That's 314-863-0008. Or send me an email, jeff@jblfinancial.com, to arrange your free coaching session. Let's get started on your retirement game plan today.
Now, back to Straight Talk on Retirement on the Big 550 KTRS. Here are Jeff and Erin Lapidus.
Welcome back to the show. It's 10:47 here on the Big 550 KTRS. Talk Radio St. Louis. I'm Jeff Lapidus, the retirement coach and anti-Rother.
We should just make that the catchphrase.
I wonder if they would let you make that your title. Like, we could just add it to your business card.
No Roth.
I'm Erin Lapidus, the retirement coach.
Jeff Lapidus, the Roth conversion disrespecter.
I'm saving the planet.
Oh, wait, we have someone who I think is singing your tune, though, Dad.
Beautiful.
And our next texter writes, to cover anticipated taxes for an inherited IRA, would taking out a life insurance policy be of any use? It would be of great benefit.
What a smart thing to do. What a smart thing to do. You love your beneficiaries.
Yes.
You're buying life insurance is buying pennies, using pennies to buy dollars, which is what premiums are.
Versus dimes to pay taxes.
They're getting that money income tax free.
Mm-hmm.
They can then take that money and pay Uncle Sam, which they're going to have to do anyways.
Right.
Within 10 years. And then they got the dough.
Right.
Woohoo! That's love. And actually, my daughter, who's going, why won't you do a Roth conversion?
No, I'm just thinking, how much more life insurance can we buy on you?
Well,
how much is?
I don't know.
What insurable? Well, I have quite an insurable interest in you.
Well, you may, but what we have done is we've taken some of our life insurance.
Mm-hmm.
That policy's owned on your mom and I.
Mm-hmm.
And we have turned the beneficiaries over to you and your sister so that this will actually happen.
And look, they're still with us, guys. We didn't do anything to them.
Your life insurance premiums are going to be infinitely lower than paying taxes on conversions.
Well, right. I think, and I guess the point I was
but
trying
that
to
also,
make
you have to be sure that you are you're insurable first.
Right. I mean, it isn't unusual for us to have, during our coaching session, conversations with clients about, what do I do with this old life insurance policy? I don't need it. I've got my capital now. I don't
maybe
need
even paid off the house now.
Right. I mean, my spouse doesn't need the capital to help create an income flow, which is why most people, or pay off a debt, which is why most people buy life insurance. Well, guess what? Now your kids can benefit from it. So let's not surrender those contracts. Let's change the beneficiary so that they become a new and maybe more important use, so that you'll be comfortable in knowing that Uncle Sam got paid.
But not with
discounted dollars, and
right.
They're not selling stuff. They're not pulling money out. Because, we talk a lot, we always talk a lot about this whole 10 year, you have to empty your IRA.
Mm-hmm.
Our clients generally, that are doing this, our first question is, are you making maximum contributions to your retirement account? Because if they're not, what happens is we're pulling out more than the minimum. But most
I'm sorry, you're saying, for clarity for everyone, people that are already having to take distributions from beneficiary IRAs, needing to liquidate over the next 10 years, we're trying to help them shelter some of that tax burden.
Right. And naturally, one of the easiest places to say, well, you know what, go in and reduce your pay at work, and we'll just give you a bigger distribution. A lot of them don't do that. They're just going to they want to just take the minimum that Uncle Sam makes them do. Well, that's fine for 9 years. But in year 10, you got to empty the entire balance, whatever's left, or you're going to pay a 25% penalty. So guess what? Need to do some planning.
Right. Speaking of needing to do some planning.
Our next sector rights, we have been fortunate to not have had to touch our IRAs until RMD eligibility. Now that we have RMDs and Irma is our new best friend, we should have converted before we started Medicare.
No, Nanette. You should have just pulled money.
Well, I mean, I was going to say there's a few things here. First of all, you would have had to start converting before 62 and stopped at 62, because at 63 you would have ended up being subject to IRMA at that point, because we look back at your income from 63 when you got to 65. But there are also still some strategies that might help you mitigate. We don't know what your exact income is at this point, but there are some strategies to help you mitigate taxes while you're taking required minimum distributions. For example, it sounds like you don't need the income from these required minimum distributions because you were never pulling money from your IRA assets prior to that. If you're charitable, are you making charitable contributions directly from your IRA to help reduce your taxable income? If you haven't been charitable before, maybe you're accelerating being charitable to get you under the $212,000, depending upon how close you are to that number, saying, hey, we're going to donate that amount to get us under the income-related Medicare adjustment, which is $212 for married filing jointly. But I would say, and this uses the same principle that we have been discussing even with the Roth conversion conversation, which is most clients are in need of income from their IRA accounts to make their life work in addition to Social Security and maybe pension. But even if not, maybe you are considering doing some cash flowing from your IRA assets, either to build more liquidity or to maintain your tax bracket. So if you're in the 20% tax to 22% tax bracket, pulling some money from your IRA account, making it more liquid for yourself and your beneficiaries down the line is not necessarily a bad thing, and it will keep you consistent versus seeing a big jump when you get to 73.
It's funny because I'm just thinking to myself, I'm having a conversation with a client. Jeff, we're mad at you. We're really mad at you and Erin.
Really mad.
You made us. You helped us make our IRAs grow, and we didn't need the money. And
Sure.
Now Uncle Sam making us take it. Hello.
Well,
You're
I was
complaining.
thinking
Nobody. I'm sorry. You're complaining. No.
I was thinking
Nobody's
that we
listening,
could come up with
correct?
some solutions for people, not
of
just
course, honey.
mockery.
I was just thinking of that last texter. I mean, even if their IRAs were, say, $3 million,
It was sad.
You're just going for it today, aren't you?
Absolutely.
That would only be about $120,000 that they'd have to take out at that 4%, to begin to. So they still have almost, $100,000 before they bump up against that first level of.
Well, you're not considering. I'm making the assumption here that not only are both of our texter married, obviously because they said we, probably both receiving Social Security, but there's probably pension or some other fixed income involved that's creating a pretty high base, is my guess, because usually we're not seeing clients bumping up against the income-related Medicare adjustment, even with required minimum distributions, unless they're in that position where, like many of our postal employees, access to excellent pension, access to Social Security benefits, and access to excellent retirement TSP accounts, so they got major bang for their buck while they were working, doing a very difficult job. But that does create, I guess we could go back to your singing, which is they've got excellent fixed income on top of the fact that they've got to deal with some liquidity, some distributions from their IRA assets because they also had the benefit of liquidity.
Well, that's where those qualified charitable distributions could be invaluable if they just went over the threshold by a little bit. Okay, this year we have to be a little bit more charitable just to bring that back under.
Certainly. There are some strategies to take advantage of, so I would say don't feel like you're locked in a box. Have a conversation with your current advisor, your CPA, your tax advisor to see if you have some opportunity.
Yeah. Tell your advisor to quit making you so much money.
You were just on it today.
What can I tell you? No, it's funny. Like last year, we had some very nice gains. The market had some nice gains.
Correct.
And our clients' after-tax accounts, many of them participated in those gains, and they had to pay taxes.
Well, this is
sorry, Chucky.
So this is a conversation definitely to be had with your advisor, which
Absolutely.
is depending upon how your after-tax account is oriented. Mutual funds have the pass-through of taxes where you are covering some of the taxes of the mutual fund, essentially. And that happens if you see appreciation or if you make sales of those mutual funds or not. That's part of your responsibility. There are other investment tools that you can use in your after-tax account that will limit your taxes. We started the show talking about dividends. So if you have a dividend-oriented portfolio in your after-tax account, but you are not in need of the income, maybe it's time to, maybe that's a goal moving into the future, especially with the next 3 years. You have potentially that $12,000 available to you that maybe you're reorienting your portfolio away from dividends towards growth, or you're orienting away from mutual funds towards another investment vehicle. So there are lots of opportunities available, even if you feel like you're not going to get to take advantage of that $12,000. If you're under the $250,000 married filing jointly limitation, then hopefully you will have the opportunity to take advantage of it in one way or another.
We've got about 2 minutes left in the show. 931-5877, 314 area code, of course, 84126 from the text line.
And our next texter writes, do you provide references or testimonials to potential clients?
No.
That's all you're going to say.
No. We're not going to.
Well, we really aren't supposed to give out. We are not allowed prohibited from giving out client information because you're all confidential, even if you're family.
And we'd only give you to our cousins, so they'd only say nice things about us.
That's right. Well,
you don't. I mean, you go see your physician, you don't ask for references. You go see your dentist, you don't ask for references. It's okay.
And our last texter writes, what safeguards do you have in place to protect your client's personal information?
What a great follow-up. Well, we're required by law to keep your personal information private, which means if we're sending you an email that has personal information, it's sent securely. Our offices are locked along with your private information at all times, and only individuals that are licensed and fingerprinted by FINRA and the SEC can work with us and your accounts.
Exactly. And so, but we'd love to work with your accounts. Easy to do. Give us a call, 314-863-0008. We had fun today. I hope you did as well. We'll see you next week.
The opinions voiced in this show are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which investments may be appropriate for you, consult with your attorney, accountant, and financial advisor or tax advisor prior to investing. Securities offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA SIPC. Investment advice offered through Private Advisor Group, a registered investment advisor. Private Advisor Group and JBL Financial Services, Inc. are separate entities from LPL Financial.
Be listening next week at 9 for more Straight Talk on Retirement with your retirement coaches,